exile because of idolatry. So God has really been guiding me to read this scripture, especially when I'm, asking for some sort of clarity or, signs or messages on what it is that He, really wants me to share. And again, it always goes back to idolatry, or just basically, believing in other gods aside from God, from the Creator. Because there are many gods, but they are not God. They are not the creator of earth. They are not the creator of heaven, of the stars, of the moon. That's God. There may be gods of things, other, there are other gods, but they are not God. And that is something that has been, an issue for, ever since, like, biblical times, is, where your faith truly is, and the beliefs that we have, and the power that we allow, the power over, what we allow, whether that is God, and, or, serving other gods, which is, part of my purpose, part of my mission is to, speak against, witchcraft and, black magic, divination, ill intentions, just evil. That is part of my purpose, is to bring awareness to all that and expose, the wicked, what isn't right, expose what is going to, expose the truth, basically, because this truth is ultimately going to free others, who have been trapped in this cycle. This is what brings you karma. This is what, blocks your blessings, is, serving other gods, or, idolizing certain gods, or, just people, giving them that power, like, as if they are God, as if they created you, as if they created the earth that you live and breathe on. That, or, again, witchcraft, thinking that you are God, that you have that control and power over yourself, over your life, or over others, which is very false. That's false, and you do not have that power. It doesn't matter if you master witchcraft, black magic, any voodoo. It doesn't matter if you are a voodoo priest, whatever. If what you are doing is going against what is right in God's eyes, that is sin. That is karmic. That is evil, basically. There's no other word, but it is wrong. And that is basically what in 2 Kings 17:7, or just like this entire chapter, definitely recommend reading it. But yeah, so this is 2 Kings 17:7, exile because of idolatry. My throat, my voice is a little funky right now, but it'll come back. Yeah, anyways, this really needs to be said, and this would happen, like, during the time that I have been preparing for this message. But yeah, so it goes, and this occurred because of the people of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in customs of the nations whom the Lord drove out before the people of Israel, and in the customs that the kings of Israel had practiced. So again, God has freed us through our ancestors, because the people in the Bible are our ancestors as well. and that is bloodlines. That is our bloodlines. And they were freed, but to go back against God, after everything that he had done for them, freeing them from Pharaoh, which as well, they practiced divination. They believed that they were above God. And there was people enslaved by them. But they, God freed them. And for them to go back against God and start worshiping or serving, other gods after, God had already set them free and, brought them into the promised land, that is just like a slap in the face. That is like, you basically you chose to go to deny God, knowing all that he has done, the proof, and thinking that you can take matters into your own hands after, knowing about the 10 Commandments, and seeing all the miracles that God performed through Moses, and so that is basically what the message is, there has been for generations, this knowledge of God and of evil, of, those that go against God or who believe they are God, and wanting that power or, taking that control, wanting that control, and it ultimately is just going to backfire, and you cannot play both sides. You cannot be living, that way in, praying to God for forgiveness, but you're over here going out of your way to, perform rituals or, abuse divination. Like, that is abuse of power. And, that does go against what God has commanded, and people wonder why their life is, terrible and chaotic, is because you have chosen, to give that power to somebody else that is not God. Therefore, that's where people kind of mess up, because instead of surrendering everything to God, you decide to take things into your own hands or into somebody else's that you believe is greater than God. So then it says, they set up for themselves pillars and asherim on every high hill and under every green tree, and there they made offerings on the high places, as the nations did, whom the Lord carried away before them. And they did wicked things, provoking the Lord to anger. And they served idols, of which the Lord has said to them, You shall not do this. Yet the Lord warned Israel and Judah by every prophet and every seer, saying, Turn from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, in accordance with all the law that I commanded your fathers, and that I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. But they would not listen, but were stubborn, as their fathers had been, who did not believe in the Lord their God. They despised his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and the warnings that he gave them. They went after false idols and became false, and they followed the nations that were around them, concerning whom the Lord had commanded them that they should not do like them. And they abandoned all the commandments of the Lord their God, and made for themselves metal images of 2 calves, and they made an Asherah, and worshipped all the hosts of the heaven, and served Baal. And they burned their sons and their daughters as offerings, and used divination and omens, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. None was left but the tribe of Judah only. Judah also did not keep the commandments of the Lord their God, but walked in the customs of Israel, and the customs that Israel had introduced. So again, that goes back to generational curses, generational cursed bloodlines. You know, that is where, you know, you have to really, you know, be mindful of what you're doing. Are you, you know, going to continue that cycle, or are you going to break that cycle? Are you finally going to, you know, step into that real power, into that real authority of God, of, you know, bringing his power back? Because if, you know, all of this is because of, you know, wanting some sort of power, but there is no true power in, you know, doing evil and being evil and going against God and thinking that you are better than God, thinking that you are God, you know. There's no power in that. And that does, you know, bring the wrath of God upon your life. You know, where there will be no blessings, where, you know, all that is left to do for God is to set things in order, to make sure that people reap what they sow. And that is either if you do go against God, or if you are with him. So, you know, that is definitely a problem in today's generation more than ever. There's so many people, there's some, you know, so many cults, so many false people in power, you know, trying to act like they serve God, but they're serving other gods, and they're, you know, fooling people, you know, making money out of, you know, being a pastor, priest, you know, being in some sort of power, you know, while they claim to fully serve God, but they are also doing, you know, things in the dark, serving, you know, Satan, serving the devil, serving other gods, you know, or worshiping themselves as if they are God, you know, thinking that they are God because they are doing some sort of divination, you know, but that is abuse of power. And, you know, God has shown me that this year, and it has already started with the fires, you know, I had a message as well that was concerning like house fires, you know, but now with the fires going on in LA, you know, that message just like changed my perspective more, which is this other message that he has sorry, this other message that he has been showing me basically is, you know, all those false people in power that lie in God's name, you know, they are going to burn, they are going to fall. Every single thing that they have gained from lying, from cheating, from stealing, from lying in God's name, it is all going to vanish. The wrath of God will be upon them, and there will be no mercy. There will be no mercy at all. But these people that don't believe in God, or believe that they can, you know, go to the devil and go to God, they are going to learn, you know, they are going to be praying on their knees, literally, for mercy. And those who did not believe are going to be praying as well, and suddenly, oh, they're going to believe and be praying for mercy. You know, and that is just because of, you know, they chose to go against God, knowing, you know, growing up, knowing and being aware of God, you know, having that knowledge of God, you know, and of as well evil, and choosing to go against God and against the commandments. You know, the 10 commandments are very important, because that is how you align literally with God, with the divine. If you follow those 10 commandments religiously, that is going to make God follow you, because you are operating in this frequency, and your mentality is revolved around the 10 commandments, and that is how the divine follows you. That is how the Holy Spirit will follow you. So the 10 commandments are very important. They will literally put you 10 years ahead, you know, in your blessings, in your mind, you know, with that growth.